She just said the national championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this, and pointed to the ring. This is not my opinion. I lived it. I watched it. It was recorded. It was broadcasted live. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before that moment.
Faraji claims that when she would go out to meet Taylor for dinner or drinks, Charlie Dixon was always around. And that is when she said that Taylor shushed her, explained what Dixon's position was in the company, and Faraji believed that they were sleeping together.
And none of this stuff surprises me because I have been in this industry for over 10 years, and unfortunately I've seen a lot of things like this.
Joy Taylor, a well-known figure in sports media, has been embroiled in controversy due to her comments regarding Caitlin Clark, but that's only the beginning. She is facing accusations, lawsuits, and outrage.
She told Joy Taylor about Charlie getting a little frisky. Joy Taylor responded by saying, "Get over it." Mrs. Faraji also insinuated that Joy Taylor used her feminine powers to advance her career in the company.
Faraji claims that she had attended a birthday party for Taylor. When she goes to this birthday party, she says that Dixon was there. Mr. Dixon approached her and then placed his arm on Miss Faraji's lower back. But as she knew Miss Taylor was sleeping with Mr. Dixon, she turned to her. Miss Taylor responded to get over it and explained that she herself only had her job because of Mr. Dixon.
We'll demonstrate how Joy Taylor's assertions that Caitlin Clark's fame is linked to Angel Reese are completely untrue. Rather, it is Angel Reese who frequently piggybacks for attention.
Have you ever noticed we never hear about the sexualization of Caitlin Clark? Why don't we see Caitlin Clark being sexualized? Because Caitlin Clark doesn't allow it.
We'll also look at the alarming assertions that Taylor used sex appeal rather than talent to get her job, which are related to her ascent in the profession. This is the tale of a media personality who is alleged to have manipulated stories and crossed moral boundaries.
Faraji claims that Taylor continued to use her sexuality to advance at the Fox company. And she did that by allegedly sleeping with Emmanuel Acho, a former football player turned commentator.
Prepare yourself for a roller coaster of facts, controversies, and truths that you must hear, because not all participants in the struggle for influence and legitimacy deserve a seat at the table. Stay tuned, it's going to get real.
In episode 1 of her podcast, for the actual logo and the image that went along with the podcast, there's Caitlin Clark on it. Caitlin Clark's in the headline because of the clicks. And here is Angel Reese getting clicks again.
But Angel Reese should be thanking her lucky stars that Caitlin Clark came along, because she's making Angel Reese a lot of money and she's getting Angel Reese attention.
Joy Taylor's claim that Angel Reese's famous ring-pointing gesture during the NCAA championship is what made Caitlin Clark famous has drawn a lot of criticism, and with good reason.
That Angel Reese doing all this, I'm the villain, I'm this, I'm that. Now she's whining. Again, I told you this was going to happen. I told you. After the I'm a gangster, and then takes off all her clothes, and then she's crying about being sexualized, and then the season didn't go great for her because she can't make a layup. She's crying about being a victim again.
To be honest with you, I believe that Angel Reese don't really care about basketball. She's just using basketball to make herself a social media or pop culture influencer.
Angel Reese is trying to push some sex appeal to the WNBA. Like, we ain't all dressing like
pussy when they're on the road.
Angel Reese is riding Caitlin Clark's coattail.
Simply put, Taylor's story is not supported by the facts. Thanks to her incredible performances that enthralled millions of fans, including her record-breaking games at Iowa, her ability to demolish opponents with far-range threes, and her trademark, "you can't see me" gesture, Caitlin Clark's fame was solidified long before Angel Reese made an appearance. Angel Reese's moment in the spotlight mainly stemmed from her insulting Caitlin Clark during the final, a move that capitalized on Clark's already existing fame. In contrast, Clark was the focus of college basketball even before the championship game.
Miss Taylor asked Miss Faraji to meet her for lunch in Beverly Hills. She found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Acho. Miss Faraji didn't know Mr. Acho, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Acho to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Miss Faraji became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Acho at the same time. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it.
Reese's activities made headlines, but they wouldn't have had the same effect if Clark hadn't been the main character. As Google Friends revealed, Caitlin Clark's fame peaked during her historic fights against Louisville and South Carolina, long before Reese's ring-pointing antics. Taylor's remarks aimed to downplay Clark's achievements while artificially highlighting Reese's, in addition to misrepresenting the timing.
Every time you see something relative to Angel Reese, what's it about? It's about her. It's not about her team, it's about her. One makes it about her, the other makes it about us.
More concerning is the fact that Reese constantly mentions Clark in interviews and on social media, using her name to remain relevant. This trend indicates that Clark is still the real trailblazer who took women's basketball to new heights, whereas Reese thrives on comparisons.
Everything that Angel Reese does would lead you to believe that she is less interested in what you do on the basketball court and more interested in making sure that she build up a following and try to sexualize herself.
What Caitlin Clark does is kind of simple, really. She shows up at games, she signs autographs, she talks to little girls wearing jerseys, she smiles to the crowd, and then here's the most important thing. She competes like a maniac. I mean like a maniac.
In addition to being untrue, Taylor's comments highlight a greater problem of bias and sensationalism in sports commentary. As we'll see later, her legitimacy to even discuss this topic is seriously questioned because of claims on how she got her job in sports journalism.
Sheen Faraji, who says she worked at Fox Sports from 2012 through last August, made a series of allegations in the 42-page lawsuit obtained by Front Office Sports. Fox, Fox Sports, FS1, FS2, Fox Sports EVP Charlie Dixon, Skip Bayless, and FS1 host Joy Taylor are listed as defendants in the lawsuit.
According to numerous reports and testimony, Joy Taylor's integrity in the sports media industry has been severely questioned because of grave claims regarding how she rose in her career. A lawsuit alleging that Taylor participated in illicit relationships to further her career has given rise to accusations that she leveraged her sex appeal rather than her merit to gain high-profile gigs in the industry.
The lawsuit says Ms. Faraji brings forth this action because for over a decade at Fox, she was forced to endure a misogynistic, racist, ableist workplace where executives and talent were allowed to physically and verbally abuse workers with impunity. When Ms. Faraji and others came forward to report the wrongdoing, instead of addressing their concerns, Fox retaliated against them while the perpetrators and those who protected them were inexplicably promoted. This case thus represents yet another in a long line of cases chronicling the toxic culture at Fox, marked by bad faith promises and repeated failures to address a poisonous and entrenched patriarchy.
According to the lawsuit's details, Taylor's purported relationships with powerful FS1 executives have sparked doubts about the veracity of her career achievements. Insiders and former co-workers have noted that Taylor's ascent from Miami radio host to a prominent position on programs like Undisputed appeared to be more about her ability to take use of personal connections than it was on her sporting knowledge. According to the lawsuit, Taylor also publicly boasted about her power over specific executives, even threatening to charge them with harassment if they disobeyed her demands.
Former Fox Sports hairstylist alleges in a lawsuit that a network executive used his position to sexually harass women, as well as that Skip Bayless touched her inappropriately and propositioned her for sex.
Joy Taylor allegedly mispronounced the English pronunciation of Mrs. Faraji's name.
This behavior is consistent with a concerning trend in sports media where unqualified people are elevated not on the basis of their skill set, but rather on their appearance or personal connections. Taylor's critics contend that she is even less qualified to remark on complicated subjects like Caitlin Clark's influence on base T, since she has significant athletic knowledge or experience. Taylor's using divisive viewpoints and provocative remarks has frequently been viewed as a tactic to obscure her dubious professional path, but as these accusations surface, they cast a long shadow over her credibility as a sports commentator. If these claims are true, it is evident that Taylor's opinions are motivated more by opportunism than by thoughtful analysis, further undermining her attempts to minimize Caitlin Clark's legacy.
Faraji claims that when she would go out to meet Taylor for dinner or drinks, Charlie Dixon was always around. And that is when she said that Taylor shushed her, explained what Dixon's position was in the company, and Faraji believed that they were sleeping together.
And none of this stuff surprises me because I have been in this industry for over 10 years, and unfortunately I've seen a lot of things like this.
Miss Taylor asked Miss Faraji to meet her for lunch in Beverly Hills. She found Miss Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Acho. Miss Faraji didn't know Mr. Acho, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. Miss Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Acho to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Miss Faraji became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Acho at the same time. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it.
Claims that Joy Taylor's success is more attributed to her looks and interpersonal connections and her skills have frequently surrounded her career. Taylor's frequent involvement in problems unrelated to her sporting expertise supports opponents' claims that she has heavily relied on her sex appeal to stay relevant in a very competitive market.
There is no race. And guess what? Those aren't fans. The people that are doing that, if they're doing that, they're just idiots. And if you're going to be popular, if you're going to be in the public eye, you're going to have a lot of idiots.
The current lawsuit against Taylor is especially damning because it depicts a work environment in which she allegedly exploited her personal connections and physical appearance to obtain an advantage. According to insider accounts and testimonies, Taylor was instrumental in creating an unsuitable culture at FS1, actively pursuing relationships with executives to land prime roles, and even threatening to use harassment as a weapon against those who disobeyed, further damaging her reputation and credibility.
Problem is you have all of these players, Angel Reese, for example. You have Alyssa Thomas fueling the ideas of racial abuse by fans, but there's no real evidence of it. Brittany Griner speaking out against it. It's, the fans are calling us this, they're shouting these things. Did anybody hear any of these racial slurs happening or these racist actions by fans? The evidence wasn't there, so how are you going to talk about it if there's no evidence, right?
Furthermore, Taylor's remarks on athletes like Caitlin Clark exhibit a pattern of opportunism by stating controversial things like that Clark's fame is due to Angel Reese's taunting. Instead of offering perceptive analysis, Taylor seems to be trying to attract attention. This is consistent with her larger approach of using controversy rather than content to keep herself in the spotlight. Even Taylor's commentary on other athletes frequently contains undertones of sensationalism and personal bias, undermining her authority as a reliable sports analyst. Her attempts to join well-known stories like the Clark-Reese rivalry only serve to reinforce the idea that she depends more on drama than on intelligent analysis. Ultimately, Taylor is unable to make insightful assessments of successful athletes like Caitlin Clark due to her tendency to use her sex appeal and court controversy. Her past diminishes the significance of her views, making them inconsequential in the larger conversation on women's sports. It is becoming more and more clear that Taylor's voice lacks the integrity and respect required for positive contributions to the sports world as her credibility continues to erode.
Don't post anything what you feel about Caitlin Clark fans or new fans with racial slurs and racism and elections and this. Just then stop with that if you don't want it ever to be a part of that. But the moment you go down that road, you are opening yourself up to criticism from different people. And you must be okay with that. If you're not okay with it, then delete your social media profile.
That idiot Angel Reese is trying so hard to latch on to Caitlin Clark by being the heel and then crying about it. You all did this. You all called her a white bitch constantly. You all did this.
Joy Taylor tries to downplay Caitlin Clark's accomplishments by attributing her fame to Angel Reese, but her comments about Clark and the continuous controversies surrounding her career present a disturbing image of opportunism, bias, and sensationalism in sports media. The truth is that Clark's talent, ability to captivate crowds, and record-breaking performances speak for themselves. The brief bursts of fame that Angel Reese frequently associates with Clark's name only serve to emphasize Clark's indisputable impact on women's basketball.
Caitlin Clark has taken so much crap from so many types of players this season, pretty much from every team she's faced. Players realize that if they attack Caitlin Clark, their names are too going to be in the headlines.
Moreover, Taylor's honesty is seriously called into doubt given her own professional history, which is replete with accusations of abusing sex appeal and inappropriate connections. Her remarks undermine the fundamentals of constructive criticism since they are not grounded in knowledge, but rather in a trend of sensationalism and attention-seeking. In the end, Caitlin Clark's legacy as a trailblazer with an unrivaled influence on sports is untouchable. The truth is obvious, and Joy Taylor's attempts to change the story only serve as a diversion and further damage her own reputation. Taylor's remarks are meaningless in the face of unquestionable talent and accomplishment, and Clark's greatness requires no confirmation from biased commentators. As always, thank you for watching, and please share, like, and subscribe so that we can keep bringing attention to the truth and honoring the athletes who deserve it. Until the next time, remain educated and fortunate.